Hi, my name is Hermann Jungkunst. I'm a full professor in soil science and geoecology at the RPTU. In Germany, RPTU is a Rhineland-Palatinate University of Technology in English. I'm mainly into soil science and carbon and do a lot of climate feedback sciences. I taught global change biology as a class together with Sophie von Fromm. She did mainly the big data part, and I did a bit more on the lecturing on the different topics. So the main problem for people to really realize that climate change is happening or how to approach it is tipping points. Our ecosystem is built to be resilient. So if you put stress on it or force or whatever, it does not collapse immediately or does not deteriorate slowly, but it stays the same. And therefore, if you tell a farmer, if you put on more pesticides on your field, one day your field will not be productive anymore. For example, because of biodiversity, if you have 10 species that have the same function, and because of stress you lose 3, you still have 7 left, and therefore the function will remain. Only after 5 or 7 stress occurrences, maybe you lose all of the species, and then this function will not work anymore. It surprised me that the direct relationship between students and teachers is so close. I think because of the 3 times per week meetings, that's the main difference. And I do teach classes back home also with 10 people. But 3 times a week, you almost get a more personal feeling for each other. And we had some smaller talks about non-scientific stuff. And that's something I would like to take home and try to talk a little bit more with students, maybe a bit more on a broader perspective. So the research part was more like an exchange of ideas and what we will do in the future together. So we didn't do some actual research going into the lab and do some measurements, because it's not enough time. At least in soil science, you need more than 10 weeks to do some real measurements or actual field work. So we talked about our common interests, which are mainly based on carbon in soils and some mineral carbon interactions. And therefore we also try to figure out which type of data we have in Europe or which type of data you have here in the US. Most of the science is also data driven, so a lot of people have already gathered data all across the world, and some of it has yet to be identified. They just had it, didn't do much with it, and therefore we try to combine them. And that's what we're trying to do mainly, because we have 2 different approaches, usually if you're dealing with 2 different countries. I think that's the most important part about science, is the international exchange. And I hope this will last forever. And that's, I think, also something we have to try to do, and I'm very happy that there are some possibilities for that, even in my age, because usually the exchange takes time, the earlier stage of the career, so it's easier to do your 2 years of postdoc somewhere else. But it's really highly important that even as a not really old, but getting old professor, is to have these exchanges, because you always get a new perspective. And I think that's key for science.